The biology and anatomy of the parrotfish. Imagine swimming in the warm, crystal-clear waters of a coral reef. Suddenly, you hear a strange, crunching sound. You look around, worried it might be a shark, but instead, you see a colorful fish with a beak-like mouth chomping away at the coral. This isn't just any fish. It's a parrotfish, and it's about to take us on an amazing underwater adventure. Let me tell you a story about Polly, a parrotfish who lived in the Great Barrier Reef. Polly wasn't like other fish. She had a special superpower. She could eat coral and poop sand. That's right. Polly was a living, swimming sand factory. Every day, she'd munch on hard coral, grind it up in her throat, and out would come fine white sand. But Polly's life wasn't all about making beaches. One day, while she was busy crunching coral, she noticed something strange. The water was getting warmer, and the beautiful coral homes of her fish friends were turning white. Polly knew she had to do something. So, she swam as fast as her fins could carry her, spreading the word to all the sea creatures about the changing ocean. Polly's story might sound like make-believe, but it's based on real science. Parrotfish really do eat coral and poop sand, and are facing real dangers from warming oceans. But before we dive deeper into Polly's world, let's take a closer look at what makes parrotfish so special. Anatomy and physiology of the parrotfish. Parrotfish got their name because their mouth looks like a parrot's beak. But unlike a parrot's beak, which is made of keratin, the same stuff as your fingernails, a parrotfish's beak is made of super strong teeth that have grown together. These teeth are so tough that they can crunch through coral like it's a crunchy cookie. Inside their throat, parrotfish have another set of teeth called pharyngeal teeth. These work like a second jaw, grinding up the coral into tiny pieces. It's like having a built-in blender in your throat. Can you imagine if humans had teeth in their throats? We'd never need to chew our food again. Parrotfish come in all sorts of bright colors, just like the coral reefs they live in. Some are blue, others are green, pink, or even rainbow colored. They can change their colors too, kind of like underwater chameleons. But unlike chameleons, who change color to hide, parrotfish change color when they change from female to male. That's right, many parrotfish species can switch from being girls to boys as they grow up. Evolutionary history of the parrotfish. Parrotfish have been around for a long time, about 50 million years. That's way before humans existed. Over this time, they've developed some pretty cool tricks to survive in the ocean. One of the coolest things about parrotfish is their slime cocoon. At night, some parrotfish species wrap themselves in a bubble of slime that comes out of their mouth. This slimy sleeping bag protects them from nighttime predators and parasites. It's like having an invisible force field. Scientists think this slime cocoon might have evolved from the fish's scales. Long ago, the parrotfish's ancestors probably had hard scales all over their bodies. But over millions of years, some of these scales turned into slime-making cells. It's a bit like how our hair evolved from the scales of our reptile ancestors. Imagine if humans could make slime cocoons to sleep in. We'd never need blankets again. Family and relatives of the parrotfish. Parrotfish belong to a big family called Scaridae, which includes about 95 different species. They're part of an even bigger group called the wrasses, which includes over 600 species of fish. Some of the parrotfish's closest relatives are pretty interesting too. There's the cleaner wrasse, a small fish that sets up cleaning stations on the reef. Bigger fish come to these stations to have parasites picked off their skin and out of their mouths. It's like an underwater car wash. Another cousin is the tuskfish, which uses tools to crack open clams. Scientists have seen tuskfish carrying clams in their mouths and smashing them against rocks to break them open. It's like they're using the rocks as hammers. Parrotfish reproduction and breeding. Remember how I said parrotfish can change from female to male? This is called sequential hermaphroditism, and it's pretty common in the fish world. In most parrotfish species, all the fish start out as females. As they grow bigger and older, some of them turn into males. The biggest, oldest male in a group is called the supermale. He's usually bright blue or green and gets to mate with all the females in his territory. If the supermale disappears, the biggest female in the group will change into a male and take his place. It's like a fishy version of musical chairs. When it's time to breed, Parrotfish gather in large groups called spawning aggregations. The females release their eggs into the water, and the males release their sperm at the same time. The fertilized eggs float in the water until they hatch into tiny fish larvae. Habitat and distribution of the parrotfish. Parrotfish are found in tropical and subtropical oceans all around the world. They love warm, shallow waters with lots of coral. You can find them in the Caribbean Sea, the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and even the Red Sea. Different species of parrotfish have adapted to different parts of the reef. Some like to live in the shallow, rocky areas near the shore. Others prefer the deeper parts of the reef, and some brave parrotfish even venture out into the open ocean. No matter where they live, parrotfish play a super important role in keeping coral reefs healthy. By eating algae that grows on coral, they help the coral grow. And remember how they poop sand? Well, that sand helps build beaches and islands. One parrotfish can poop out over 800 pounds of sand in a year. That's about as heavy as a grand piano. Parrotfish is feeding and hunting. Parrotfish are herbivores, which means they mainly eat plants. But their favorite food isn't exactly a plant, it's coral. Coral might look like rocks, but it's actually made up of tiny animals called polyps. The parrotfish use their strong beak to scrape algae and bits of coral off the reef. As they eat, parrotfish make a funny crunching sound that you can hear underwater. It's like listening to someone eat potato chips. They spend about 90% of their day eating, stopping only to sleep or avoid predators. But not all parrotfish eat coral. Some species prefer to eat seagrass or algae. And even the coral-eating species don't actually digest the coral itself. They're after the tiny algae that live inside the coral. The coral bits just pass through their digestive system and come out as sand. Parrotfish is inspiration to technology and science. Scientists are always looking to nature for inspiration, and parrotfish have some pretty cool features that could help us solve human problems. For example, researchers were studying parrotfish teeth to develop stronger materials for buildings and machines. The structure of parrotfish teeth makes them incredibly strong and resistant to wear, even though they're constantly grinding against hard coral. If we could make materials as tough as parrotfish teeth, we might be able to build stronger bridges or longer-lasting car parts. The parrotfish's slime cocoon has also caught scientists' attention. They're looking at how this natural antibiotic slime could help us develop new medicines to fight infections. Imagine if we could make a sleeping bag that keeps away germs, just like a parrotfish's slime cocoon. Conservation of parrotfish. Remember Polly from our story? Well, parrotfish like her are facing some big challenges. Climate change is making the oceans warmer and more acidic, which is bad news for coral reefs. And when the reefs suffer, so do the parrotfish. Overfishing is another problem. In some parts of the world, people catch parrotfish to eat, but taking too many parrotfish from a reef can upset the whole ecosystem. Without parrotfish to eat algae, the algae can grow out of control and smother the coral. The good news is that scientists and conservationists are working hard to protect parrotfish and their coral reef homes. In some places, there are now laws against catching parrotfish, and scientists are studying ways to help coral reefs survive in warmer waters. You can help too. By learning about parrotfish and telling others how important they are, you're helping to protect these amazing fish in their ocean home. Parrotfish, the underwater superheroes. From their color-changing abilities to their sand-pooping superpowers, parrotfish are truly some of the ocean's most fascinating creatures. They're like the superheroes of the coral reef, keeping the ecosystem balanced and healthy. Next time you're at the beach, remember that some of that sand between your toes might have come from a parrotfish. And if you ever get to snorkel or dive in a coral reef, keep an eye and an ear out for these colorful fish. You might just spot a parrotfish like Polly munching away on coral and doing its part to keep the reef alive. So, here's to the parrotfish, the beak-faced, gender-bending, sand-pooping superheroes of the sea. They remind us that sometimes the most important creatures in nature are the ones we least expect. By learning about and protecting amazing animals like the parrotfish, we're not just saving them. We're saving our whole blue planet, a delicate balance of our oceans.